This Fiscal Affairs Committee meeting to order. We are here today at the Rota Mayor's Conference, and we will begin with our budget hearing. And present with us in the committee is Senator Dennis Mendiola, Senator Paul Manglonia, myself, Donald Manglonia, Chair for Fiscal. Assisting the committee, we have our IT, Del Camacho, Fiscal Analyst, Dave Demapan, our Legislative Assistants, Devin Macaranas and Jolynn Tagobal, our Legal Counsel, Joe Bermudez, and our Sergeant at Arms, Ben Terlahi. And with 3 members present, it constitutes a quorum to proceed with today's committee meeting. And with that, members, can I get a motion for the adoption of today's agenda?
So move, Mr. Chair.
All right, a motion was made by Senator Mendiola, seconded by Senator Paul. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We now move on to the next item, which is public comments. Floor is now open. If any member of the public would like to make a statement. All right. So with that, the next item on the agenda, introduction. Good afternoon to everyone present here today and to those viewing online live. For the entire municipality, Rota is requesting 11.8 million to include 331 FTEs. Of the 11.8, 7.7 is needed to cost, and then 3.4 is needed for all others to include utilities. In totality, the request is for 146,000 for communications, 450,000 for fuel and lubrication, 10,000 for official representation, 17,500 for printing and photocopying, 76,000 for rental, 208,500 for repairs and maintenance, 117,500 for office supplies, 529,000 for operations supplies, 454,000 for travel, 558,000 for vehicles. Now, in the governor's budget proposal, he submitted a proposal of 7.8 million, of which 7.7 is invested in covering 285 FTEs. The 70 all filled FTEs and did not provide any for operations. However, he did mention in his submittal that there are revolving funds that could be used to address operations, to include ambulance revolving fund, filing fees, the hotel occupancy tax, which may not be realized just yet because of the action that the Senate has taken to reduce the amounts given to MVA. And so with that, we will allow each agency however much time they need. We understand that at least for the most part, personnel were covered, but if the agencies would like to make a request for additional FTEs, or what the lack of funding for operations would look like for the agency, and how would that affect the operations of the department. While some of you may believe that this is a formality, as we've experienced in the current fiscal year, we did get a revised budget, and so even if any tax bills were to be introduced and signed into law, that would result in supplemental budget. In addition to any reimbursements we are expecting to receive from FEMA and other projects, those would be a supplemental budget, which we could argue the need for Rota based on today's budget hearing. And so with that, we will begin with the mayor's office, and I would like to invite Mayor Aubrey Holcook and any of her team to join us here in the table. And so the mayor submitted a budget proposal for her operations and personnel at $3,250,000, and the governor had approved $2,290,000. And so at this time, I would like to recognize Mayor Hokuk to provide her statement and any requests to the committee.
Thank you. Hafaday, good afternoon. Honorable members, chairman, and senators of this distinguished body. For the official record, my name is Aubrey Hokuk, Mayor of Rota, and with me I have my chief of staff, Mr. Josh Calvo. And we just want to plead and ask, for the support for the municipality. Thank you. Thank you. But we just ask for consideration, knowing and understanding that the municipality of Rota is far behind our neighboring islands in the Commonwealth. And we are finding support for our personnel, but we at least ask to provide minimal support for communications and fuel for us to be at least able to provide the basic services to our people. And so we are ready to go through, and if you have any questions, we're ready to answer them. And again, we just plead for your continued support to assist our municipality be able to function as we try to progress. We have been delayed in our plans due to malware affecting the municipality of Rota. And so we've had to divert our attention, divert our resources, and we're very thankful to the governor, lieutenant governor, to our federal and local partners, to nonprofit organizations, local business communities from not only Saipan, Tinian, the Northern Islands, but even from the mainland. We've had people come and reach out to us to provide assistance. And so it further adds on to our list of things that we need to do to really bring up the standard of our island, to really provide services to accommodate and ensure the welfare of our people. So again, we humbly ask for your support with our budget requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I see that your request for utilities is at $664,500. What is the municipality currently averaging on a monthly basis? And would this be for all agencies?
So that is just our current, that includes what we currently owe to CUC. We understand that as an autonomous agency, they need to collect to be able to operate. But on top of our basic use, which averages, and it varies depending on the month, it varies depending on how often people use not only our government facilities, but our public sites, this adds on. And we've, through our investigation, identified that there's so much fees added that we pay, which equates to about $4,000 a month for these charges. And so the amount that you see covers our usage, and to somewhat keep us updated. We have received notice and social media outlets, news outlets about CUC's plan to collect from the government. And we are very thankful that we are receiving support to cover our utilities, but we have, we need to be able to pay what we can.
Okay, so the 664 is your arrears plus the next fiscal year's expense.
Yes.
How much is in arrears as of the last report you received?
So for CUC utilities, we owe $174,297.31. And this is our arrears as of this month or last month. And then we also included the public facilities that vary depending on, again, whether we have community programs or depending how often our residents use various public sites.
Okay. Has any of the Has any of the agencies received disconnection notices?
Not for utilities. We have some agencies that are on the Nighthawk. So our personnel, they make sure that they properly allocate time to whether to replenish um, their replenish funds to ensure that they continue with their having power and water.
Okay. So the other request you're asking for is communications at 25,000. Is that your current usage?
That's only for my office, yes. And so we do have outstanding with our communication, and currently with the amended budget, we are covering for the departments. We have had departments, their phone lines, internet, been disconnected, and so that really deters their ability to provide a service to our residents.
So have the arrears and the communications been resolved in order to bring them back, or are they still disconnected?
Example, and I'll use the Department of Finance. We had to wait for our monthly budget or monthly allocation for this month. We've already started processing to clear their arrears to keep them up to date with their bills.
Okay. And has the municipality taken steps to, if there's any, to
We only have one government office. We've cut that, but we see that there's a need, and I've shared this with the delegation. They need to be able to communicate with the patients that travel to and from Saipan. But for most part, we have cut several of our phone lines. We do need to upgrade our internet, and we are trying to look at other agencies that can assist us with this, just so that we can ensure, because many of times we have a lagging issue throughout, especially the afternoon here within our office, and that will delay our ability to communicate and provide services from our office. But for the departments, we are currently covering until the end of the fiscal year their bills to be processed, their bills to keep them or to try to get them reconnected.
okay. Has the 55,000 that was taken out of your account been reinstated?
No, not to my knowledge, not yet, but we are hoping, because we understand where that history, we understand the history of that charge, but knowing the priority today, and we plead and hope, and I've already talked to my RD for Department of Finance, that we would like to reject that and hopefully reallocate and use that funding for for other priorities that will really help us last and stand till the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. All right. And has any of your agencies, are they availing of the solar panels by grants that, would potentially reduce
Yes.
utility rates?
Senator, we have included, and we're very thankful OGM um, came last week to see how we can get our not only public facilities, but we're trying to include the government offices, buildings, this one included. In fact, we have the Division of Energy coming in today to assess how they can assist. I know it's very hot at the moment. Our aircon has been down as a result of Typhoon Mawar. And so we're hoping to see how they can help us look to renewable energy or solar power to help operate and sustain the facilities.
Okay. All right. Just one more before I pass it on to other members. The recent legislation that was signed into law that addresses several CIP projects, are those moving forward, or are there any obstacles that are preventing those projects from moving forward? And if not, would it be in the best interest to possibly reappropriate those funds to address other critical capital projects? Ours, the Song facility,
No,
sports facility.
I think those should stay, only because we are trying to upgrade our public sites to welcome and, have it to a standard that is safe and clean for our residents and our visitors. And I think we're trying to push towards, opening our borders to welcome our visitors. So I would recommend that stay. We did speak after, thinking or our meeting with our delegation, Secretary of Finance and OMB. We did meet with Ms. Elizabeth Balahaja with CIP to find out where we are with certain projects to see how we can push things along. But we understand what they're going through and the federal requirements that they have to abide by. So we're just trying to be as patient as we possibly can. But we are being aggressive and looking to federal grants to assist us and somewhat supplement some of the things that we need to purchase. So we're doing those things to really just keep us afloat.
Okay. But in regards to that particular legislation,
I recommend it stay as is.
but is there any progress in terms of getting these projects started?
Yes, so permittings have been requested for certain facilities already on Rota. For the Saipan projects, we are getting a price quotation. We're very glad and very thankful for the Department of Corrections. Their program, they have a program where they allow to provide assistance in helping construct or renovate facilities. So we're still continuing with that route. We do have some businesses that are reaching out and have donated some items to help upgrade the facility at Navy Hill and Saipan. So we're just continuing as is. And like I said, we sometimes because of Mawar, we've had to shift and delay many of these things because our focus is the safety of our people here. And is if you still travel around Rota, funding and thanking Governor Palacios, Lieutenant Governor and OGM to give us that funding for fuel and diesel, along with some other municipalities like Tinian. They were able to donate funding for gasoline and diesel, and these are the things we need to just get us moving. There's a lot of debris that is scattered as a result of the typhoon, and we just had to make sure that they were outside or moved outside the road so that our people can safely move around. But it's still a detriment there, and so we've really been trying our best to move them to the green waste facility so that we can properly dispose of them and just move on as we plan to really address our plans to move
Okay.
forward.
Thank you for that. At this time, I recognize any member. Recognize Senator Mendiola.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Mayor, just a few questions. And I understand that you've actually, for our fiscal year 2023 budget, you've had to reduce salaries just to try and ensure that you stay within the budget allocated to you. I just wanted to know, how is that working out? In terms of providing services for the municipality, is that affecting your services?
I mean, I'm just very thankful. I have a great team of workers who understand that, what we do is in service to our community. And of course, with any salary cut, it affects the individual, it affects the home and their ability to provide for their family and their plans to make a better life for themselves or their children. So, it's been a difficult thing that we had to do, but rather than even had to furlough some staff, right, as a result of the not uncharted, but of the unknown situation that we were at in the beginning of our term. We apply for grants that include possible work opportunities for our people. We are hoping that the MBA money, hopefully, I know you just shared earlier that you have plans to somewhat reduce that, but with these opportunities, we can provide the ones, because of course government here, the government of Rota, they're the main employer for our island, as I'm sure our neighboring islands are, but we want to also support our local business so that they can hire and alleviate the government's burden of employing these people, because everybody needs money. And we're just very thankful that some of our people are very aggressive and they subsidize their living, and that's how they employ and provide for themselves. But it's hard. And we understand that, and we don't want to nag or complain because we recognize the situation. But what we are just asking for is, because with the personnel, it just is to have so many people and we can't do anything because we can't move. We have no fuel. Our lines are down. They can't communicate with us. So these are just the basic things that we ask for, just to ensure that we can provide service, basic service to our people.
Thank you, Mayor. Another question that I have is, so I've met some constituents out there, or some of your employees and staff that had to pull out of pocket. Given the fact that we've already reduced the budget or their salaries, some of them had to pull out of pocket just to try and fuel the vehicle, or try and provide services. I wanted to ask, in terms of providing services or programs, did it affect any of the programs that you were offering services?
Programs team that recognize what funding we have and try to tie it. For example, the tobacco fund, tobacco initiative fund, and our programs team, they try to find ways to promote the a tobacco-free community by offering these programs for our children, our community, and so we've been able to somewhat tap into those funds to provide and just ensure that we have something for our children to be productive, and even for our community to somewhat enjoy. But again, I do recognize and I thank my staff for doing that, because they really don't have to take out of their pocket, but they do, and that's a testament to their willingness to want to help this office, to help our people.
Thank you, Mayor. You for now, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Mendiola.
So Mayor, just looking at the picture in general, so the governor's proposal is $7.8 million, right? So what if that were the number ultimately passed, would that accommodate your FTE?
I
Or
believe with the
Will
current
you have
senator,
layoff or what?
yeah, with the current number, we currently have 112 thanks to the amended budget, but the governor's proposal is to reduce it to 110. The governor's funding does just cover personnel for the most part. It will, because the funding, the personnel is only submitted with the anticipated hour cut, the austerity measures. It does not account for their 80-hour pay period for their work, their time and work. So it is going to affect them, and we hope that we can find consideration there. Understanding that Rota, it is the most not depleted in the terms of Governor Palacios' depleted municipality. And you know that I've shared with you our concerns. I've shared with you the liabilities that we owe to many of the vendors, and we just keep facing road bumps. We are just trying to be patient and tackle them as best we can, and we just ask and plead for the support of our vendors to be patient with us. And this was evident during Mawar, when we sought out from local businesses. They had to deny and reject us because we still owe them, and they didn't want to deal with us until we rectified what we owe.
Do you have a list of all those that we
Yes.
owe? Does the committee have that?
I can give you right now. This is all.
What does that amount to roughly?
The total is just our liabilities. We will owe the vendors $1,338,499.
How much of this was prior to you coming in?
Oh, yes, Senator, they were inherited.
Okay.
Oh, so
Sarge,
you're going to
can you
provide us a
provide-
Yes.
copy of that?
You can make copies. No, you can make copies. I'll make copies.
Oh, follow up? Yeah.
Thank you, Senator. I just wanted to clarify. So of the 7 million that's going to be given based on the governor's proposal, we're looking at the reduction from 112 to 110.
Yes,
But you're stating that it's not including the
80 hours.
80 hours. So
72.
so in other words, just for the record, that's going to reduce your numbers just to suffice the 8 hours subtraction from
Yes.
the hours of employees. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
But just clarification, I think the two FTEs that were removed were the vacant FTEs. included, right? But were never filled. Is that
No,
correct?
we filled them because of, in the beginning, in our initial, when I first entered office, when we were waiting for a certification as to how much funding we had, it did show that we had some funding through ARPA, our ARPA accounts. But when we had, until we met with OMB and SOF, and they verified that because we were negative on many accounts, they had to somewhat offset. And these 2 additional employees that were taken were already on board, but they had to just wait. But they understand the situation, understand that their employment would end at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. Senator Paul, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Amir. Does this take into account the increase in the salary for some of the employees that you have? Does that already, is that incorporated?
No, not for, or yeah, we have a listing of all our staff and their salaries, but we have not, we're just maintaining our salaries. Are we seeing anybody? Oh, there's just a few. Yes, it includes. The answer to your question is yes.
Okay. Also, so not all of it, because our analysis showing that there's 58. So you're not gonna continue that, or you're gonna suspend that for now, or what's the plan?
Our 58, which one,
The
Senator?
58 employees salary increase. I don't know if that's across the municipality, or is it only for? I guess it's across the municipality per the analysis of our
Yes.
fiscal. So.
Okay.
But I think, sorry, Senator Paul, just to clarify, and I had a conversation with Mr. Cabo earlier before we got on record. There seems to be discrepancies with at least what we've noticed in the municipality staff, that their salary does not, their proposed salary for next fiscal year does not match the current revised budget approved salary. So I'm not sure whether there's been several reductions made since then on your, if that's something that you executed, or this was just miscalculation, or was inputted correctly. And so these are stuff we're going to need to verify, because otherwise you'll be short funded, underfunded. And that's why I requested Mr. Calvo to cross-check the budget salary proposed versus what your employees are currently getting right now. So just wanted to clarify that. Senator Paul, you still have the floor.
Okay.
So, Senator, one of the things, and we've shared this already, because we've had, for example, guidance from one agency sharing that the total cost or amount or figure should be this, and then we have advisement from, for example, another accountant saying otherwise. And so I know we've made arrangements to somewhat coordinate for assistance from your financial, Mr. Demapan, to assist and sort of training across the board to make sure that we're all in, we're all streamlined. I don't understand the calculations, but I do know that Mr. Calvo has been in communication with OMB to make sure to avoid these things. And so maybe it's a combination of both, but Mr. Josh mentioned that he will check on that.
Mayor, I'm just gonna ask on the all others.
Mhm.
I know that as was stated earlier, you were zeroed out as well as all the departments. They did not get anything for all others. If the committee were to find additional funding, do you have like a proposal maybe that you can share with us, so that find other avenues, then we can easily get those numbers and don't have to bother you at the last minute, so that it would assist us in formulating those numbers for all your departments and your office, municipal council, and all the different operations under the first senator district. I think that that would go a long way to help us if we have, let's say, a half a million. Where would we put it? So that you can assist us. So maybe you can provide us that if we have, let's say, $500,000, where would we put it? Um,
Senator, I think the priority for me and would be just to clear the liabilities that we have. That would be my first focus. If there's any monies available for us to address that, we would greatly appreciate the assistance.
But you wouldn't be able to operate your government, I mean, your operation if you have zero, Naimir? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean separate from this?
For operation, I guess, just to help us.
Yes,
We
that's the
don't
one-
know
that's the
how
one
much we
here.
would get, but
Yeah.
I know that one of the recommendation was to look at the revolving funds, right? The solid waste, ambulance revolving fund, filing fees, MVA tourist fund, public law 18-1. I don't know how much this is going to add. I believe it's not going to add up to much, but I'm just saying that should
Yes.
we be able to, because one of the discussion the committee is going to have with the House is to look at other revenue generation legislation prior to the final act of the budget. So I guess one way that you can help us is if you have X amount,
Yes.
where would we put it?
We have it here. We have an Excel spreadsheet that Mr. Calvo will print out and make sure you guys
I
get
know
it
that that's
before
the
we
one
leave.
that is your wish list, right? That brought it up to I guess your whatever your proposal, Naimir,
The basic we will ask, Senator, is just communication and fuel. That is the,
communication. and
yes, that is what we will, that's what we're going to ask for, the basics.
fuel. Okay. All right. Okay.
Recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Mayor, I just wanted to clarify some stuff and just for the record and make sure that, because we're talking about revolving funds, and I'm not sure if, like fire, the revolving fund goes to the central government and then gets remitted to the,
Yes.
and it's normally on the discretion of the executive. So I'm not sure about your hazard office in Mizuno DPW's revolving fund. I'm not sure if that's the same. So I just wanted to make sure that we clarify that.
I can shed some light. And so recently because again, part of our visit, we went and met with DPW with my director, Atilik. And so what we've discovered is that on some of these revolving funds, the amount is not accurate as it covers or it's shared amongst the 3 islands. And so I know RD Calvo from finance has really tried to share information with our department heads to get the receipts, to really work with SOF to find out what is their true and accurate number or amount in those revolving accounts. So what we see in our end, for example, for DPW is not true because that is inclusive of Saipan and Tinian's collections. And so we see that with the Department of Commerce, we see that with DPW, and so we want to see how we can rectify that and ensure that we are monitoring an accurate figure.
Thank you. And I just wanted to make sure that we clarify that because I know that we've dealt with this when I was the deputy here and then as commissioner as well. The issue is that the revolving funds really reflects the CNMI's revolving funds per department, right? And I'm not sure if that's the same with others. And I know that it's really at the mercy of the executive or secretary or commissioner for that matter. And I know that given what's going on with our financials, I'm sure that if the commissioner had the opportunity to hold those funds because of priority, I'm sure that Rota and Tinian would get shortchanged. So I just want to make sure that we shed light on that because the governor had recommended that we use the revolving funds to offset whatever is pulled out of your budget. So, I'm glad that you at least stress the need, at least for fuel, because of course, we can give you all the personnel, but if you don't have fuel to operate, what's the use of having personnel to begin with? So anyways, thank you. I just wanted to stress that out. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Senator Mendiola. What does municipal treasury receive on a monthly basis?
So we
Crypto.
receive funding from the mayor's ID. We also, did I have a? We have, we receive, for example, just recently, like some donations to assist with the recovery efforts of Mawar. And so that's what we, and any donors or sponsors for any of our community programs.
Okay.
So they,
And the lease agreement.
yes,
right?
from mobile, yes.
How long is that payment going to be coming in?
So we receive that monthly of the amount of $1,000.
Is that until the lease is over?
Yes.
Okay. And then the mayor's ID is very minimal.
It
right?
ranges however many we get that day.
Okay. And have the 26 employees been paid already?
Yes, so we found out that we just got no update that they will be get paid tomorrow through the supplemental check. And so our HR will call and inform those 26 employees of where they can.
Perfect. I think that's all for now. I think the one thing I do want to advise is that at the very least we protect FTEs. As far as operations go, you know, if we cannot address it in the budget, at least these are some of the issues that we can bring up in the delegation. I'm working with I'm going to work with Rep. Julie to look at past appropriations and trying to reappropriate that so that we can use it for the operations. And so in the meantime, any additional requests that you may need that is not in the budget, please feel free to reach out to the delegation, and we'll try to see how we can assist there. And so, members,
Yeah.
before I close, I'll just
Yeah,
we'll go
just
to one
wanna
last round.
ask the mayor, do you have information as to how much ARPA money that the municipality received since the funding was available? A listing for the ARPA transfer to the municipality and where it went, and is there any balance in there? I just want to kind of like have a feel of whether Rota got its share as far as ARPA funding is concerned.
Senator, Mr. Calvo can get you that information. He just told me our accounts are all negative, but he will get that
Yeah,
information
but I
and
mean,
share
the
that.
total funding
Yes.
that was granted, I know there are categories involved, but at least if you can provide us with those information.
Yeah, he would have to log into Munis to give you that accurate account.
You can give us later.
Yes, he will
Okay.
share that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I just clarifying questions. Two things. JG Water, this liability that you have, this is, I'm assuming this is for our patients.
Yes.
And the questions that the question that I have is that affecting current water delivery for Saipan, for the patients?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm looking at Beach Garden as well. One of the liability here, is that affecting our patient or is that just the staff?
So our patients no longer reside at that hotel. They are all at.
Okay.
But why is this under the municipality?
So this was.
This should have been addressed with CACC.
So this was an agreement between the former mayor and one of its staff, so that covers that issue.
Is there a written agreement or is just more of a verbal?
A written agreement.
And lastly, IT&E, I'm looking at an IT&E of 17,000.
I just want to share that there was more. When we had some funding, we paid, I believe, about 20,000 because we didn't want to get disconnected and because we were trying to see how we can get a phone line for at least our Rota liaison coordinator and the staff to be able to have the patients call. But because we need to at least address this or make some sort of payment, this is the remaining balance to I believe this is only for 2020. This is inclusive of 2022 to current.
Okay. Thank you. And the last one is, I'm looking at the water billing and electric billing. Is that just like one fiscal year, or is that
That's all our,
from the beginning of previous?
yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because I'm looking at 963,000 in arrears in electric bill, and water bill arrears 279,000, and it's a lot.
It's not.
So just want to make sure. Last question on that. Have you made any effort to communicate with the executive director acting to try and resolve this? I don't see you having in the next budget 900,000 just to cover billing. So
We've talked to um, Director King and his staff regarding Ms. Tilly Tamia regarding this, to just make sure that it's accurate, because we've also had some discrepancies where we're being billed for Tinion's portion of the facility in Eslito. And so we've somewhat already identified that. We're trying to address that with Mayor Adon to see how we can get some sort of reimbursement, and whatever funds we get will cover and pay Rota's share. But we're tracking that and seeing how we can rectify that issue. But we are charging under the governor's account. There is an account that we use to help pay for this bill. And so, of course, it's not enough to cover the whole amount, but we just try to stay on track as we possibly can.
thank you, Mayor.
Mayor,
Yes.
on the utility, I'm thinking an idea that you can offset that is we have CIP money, right? So maybe you can communicate with CUC and ask them for like something like inventories, equipments, or whatever supplies that we can
Offset.
justify, and we can use our 702 money,
Okay.
even up to $1 million, and we can ask them that they can use it for whatever they need Commonwealth wide, not only for Rota, so we can maybe
Reduce.
offset this, take it out from your books. No, I mean that's just an idea, because
you.
we have capital improvement money that we can offset. Maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah. If members don't have anything else, I'd like to close out with again a few follow-up in regards to the utilities. I think whatever you inherited should be addressed to the administration, because in the past budget we didn't appropriate any utilities under the notion that there's a set account for that will be used to pay for all utilities throughout the Commonwealth. And so that was the agreement, that was the understanding. And so this shouldn't really fall on you to address unless, finances, there's absolutely nothing and you just absolutely need to operate. But again, like what Senator Paul mentioned, offsetting is an option that we can explore. But I think the first step would be to just communicate with the Secretary of Finance, because these were agreements made prior to you coming in, and also under the understanding that ARPA utility account, which had over 10 million, would have been used to address all CNMI-wide government utilities.
Thank you.
All right. And so with that, in closing, Mayor, I think just for the main thing, the personnel salary, just to cross-check and verify. One other thing that I wanted to bring up, and I know this has been an issue with Department of Finance in regards to the customs officers. Upon speaking with the OMB today, we have about a month left in the fiscal year, technically September 15th, right? It's possible to shift those employees to finance since they have the FTEs, and then transfer the funds over. However, these employees will need to resign first and then apply for that position once your money gets transferred over. So if this can all be done before September 15th, then I think that's one way to protect the FTEs that were already given to finance, and also carry them on currently before we hit the new fiscal year. Otherwise, I think one action that we're going to do, and I hope that you are okay with that, is these customs employees that are currently funded under your account, we're going to subtract your account by that much and transfer it over to finance if we can't find additional funding to fill those FTEs. And so that's that's the other option if you can't get them on board before the end of this fiscal year. And so since you currently have the 3 on board right now, all we're doing is just transferring those funds to the finances customs account. All right. And so with that, if there's anything that you'd like to close with, Mayor.
Just thank you for your time. Thank you for being here and allowing us to speak. I know there's many things that you guys are dealing with. Everybody needs money, but we just ask and plead with the Senate, not just you, but your counterparts, really just recognize that Rota really should be treated on its own because of the situation that we're in and, the external factors that we deal with. So we plead and hope that they take consideration on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Cobble. At this time, you are excused, and we will take a 5-minute recess to allow the chairman for the council to get set up. Short recess. back from recess, and up next we have the Municipal Council. The Municipal Council submitted a budget request of administration proposed 177,000, which computes a shortfall of about 77,000. And part of this, part of the council's request includes travel at 20,000, office supplies at 5,000, operational supplies at 10,000, food items at 5, fuel at 15,000, freight at 5,000. And we have the all others at 10,000. And from my understanding, the council was approved for in the revised budget of 50,000. And so maybe if the chairman can explain how would the proposed budget affect the issues with the current positions, if any of those positions have become vacant since the time of the budget submission, and I think with the movement of not filling any new vacancies, what would that, how would that affect the council? And so at this time, we have the chairman of the 19th RMC, and at this time, I recognize Chairman Jim Atalik.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the members of this body. I know the revised budget of on 2023, we're given 10 FTs, but unfortunately that one FT is not funded. So it shows some numbers, but we don't funding for that one individual that we have one FT, but there's no funding for now. So we currently have total of 9 employees right now, and we're asking for 4 additional FTs in order for the department to accomplish our mission, of all which are included in FT 2024 General Funds personal worksheet justification provided herewith. You have that, right? So the mission statement for the 19 Rota Municipal Council, we see the Municipal Council will collaboration with the Municipality of Rota to continue its service to promote welfare of the people, to expand the program of our youth, to conserve and ensure the safety of our people, and to promote the arts and culture to represent a diverse community.
Thank you, Chairman. These 4 additional FTs that you're requesting, what would their positions be?
There will be community workers or out in the field. Because right now we have I believe total of 5. You know, some will be on leave and the other will be on sick leave. So end up with 1 employee. And while the community could be calling in and requesting for assistance out there, so we cannot send only 1 person to pick up the 10 out there or to pick up the tables.
Okay. Some of the community work that you're doing, I understand, involves clearance and stuff like that. Are you? Is this duplicative efforts of the mayor, or are these sites that are not covered by the municipality? How does that?
Yes, these sites are not covered by the municipality. As a matter of fact, the mayor, she has a lot of things on her plate right now that she can't even reach out. So the municipal council, we're stepping in to cover those gaps that the mayor cannot reach or attend to. So that's what we're doing right now. So we're opening new sites for our tourism, to attract tourism for because tourism is our main economy right now that we're trying to rely on for our economy to get back to where we want it, right? So, yes, as a matter of fact, I gave you guys some photos of what we do. That's just a couple of photos that we have right now. We don't have that much because our printer's out, no ink, and we have one, the Nunu tree. It's called the Bangyang tree, right? No Nunu in tomorrow. So that's one new location that we just opened to attract our tourists. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I recognize any members. Recognize Senator Mendiola.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Chairman Atalik, I just wanted your thought on this. Your thoughts on this. One of the proposal being that we're kind of stretched out, and Chairman Donald kind of mentioned this about combining efforts, being that your operational just got cut. What are your thoughts on combining your team with other agencies for manpower, for bodies, and just work with the municipality or the department? Which, for example, like we have agencies like Parks and Recreations, we have agencies like MVA that handle tourist sites. How about we take some of these personnel and transfer them into these bodies and just focus on those while the municipal or the council focuses on more traditional stuff like, lisazus or what are your thoughts? I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Even with that, thank you for that question, Senator. To top this off, it's kind of hard because each agency have their own priorities, right? So we don't want to take their manpower and take it, combine it with ours, and then their priorities is not their priority anymore. You have to prioritize what we are prioritizing as a municipal council. So we need to share. We can help each other. It's not a problem, to share manpower. But in the end, it's just we're just putting too much burden in our staff. With that much of staff, 5, 6 staff. It's not a problem to help. Like I said, we've been helping with the basketball court and a lot of things out there with the mayor. So like I said, it's not bad to join. At least we'll schedule something and we'll work with other departments.
Thank you. And the reason why I asked this question is really we're kind of stretched with money, it's kind of thinned out. So we're looking at some of the mission statements are really the same as what you guys are doing. For example, you're talking about basket courts. Really, DCCA under sports is responsible for that. For example, some of these tourists, Parks and Recreation can be responsible for that, or DPW roads and ground. And again, this is just trying to explore no more options to try and better appropriate funds where we can make sure that these services are continuously monitored and it's not necessarily just opening up sites. And I just wanted your thoughts on that. So I thank you for that, Chairman.
Recognize Senator Paul.
Chairman, did you get any funding in the past from the hotel occupancy tax in the past?
Senator,
So you don't
we don't.
get any. You never receive any MBA funding or?
No.
Oh,
I was just mentioning it to the mayor earlier that they mentioned about 2 million. So at least we'll share some of the MVS money for beautification.
Did you work with Office of Grant and Management for any projects? Just wondering, are you working with any beautification or park project or anything?
No, not right now.
Oh, okay. So you don't have any grant writer or in your or that can assist toward getting grants?
No, not right now, but I know that the grants office has one employee that's stationed in Rota. Maybe we'll work with
Yeah.
Mr. Maratita.
Maybe that's an idea. For your all others, like the mayor, your utility and your I guess communications are your main issues, right? For all others,
Yes, we just had our internet line and our phone line being disconnected about 2 weeks ago, but we have it back online already.
you had 51,000 this year, right? So what did you use that for?
Right now, because we have some debts from the last administration, the
So you were-
18 RMC, so we took out maybe $12,000 to pay that balance that wasn't paid because Munis they turned it off, and then when they turned it back on, those billings arise. I thought it was taken care of by the ARPA funding, but unfortunately they didn't pull from the ARPA. So we had to take out some of that from the 51,000 to cover that 12,000.
How
That-
much? Okay, so how much is your fuel? Because they didn't give you anything, right, for fuel
No, but out of the 51,000, we were cutting like 1,500, 2,000
a month?
a month.
So roughly 20,000 a year is your
Yes,
fuel
depending on
cost.
the operation and
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Paul. You don't have anything under communications. Is that being taken care of by the mayor's office?
no, we're now taking care of that because the last administration we were informed that the municipality would take care of the communication and the utility, but with the new administration, we have to take care of our own utilities and communication. So we had like $5,000 on the communication. So we draw some and then we paid IT&E to reconnect our internet service.
Okay, so right now the power will be under the council solely?
I'm not too sure, but because I don't know how the meter works down at the high school right now because we're stationed down there.
Are you getting your own billing for utilities?
No.
But you are getting your billing for communications?
Yes.
So
yes,
what's your full year? Since it's not in the budget
So
submission.
I know like 5,000 is okay. We can work with 5,000 for communication.
Has the council ever sought the maintenance assistance or the technical assistance
No.
under OIA?
No.
All right, I think that's I think the window is closed. But if anything, please check with Mr. Martita for any future opportunities in regards to that. I know TAP or MAP, one of the two, have been used to purchase um, what do you call this, equipments, riding mower and stuff like that, or at least requests for those equipments have been included in these grant proposals. And so please see if you can reach out to him. You mentioned something that you're now focused on, and this is something I've been pressuring MVA to also focus on. Is just to look over our sites and see how we can better enhance it, whether it be through your office or some support from MVA. I know MVA is also limited with staff, or their focus is maintaining these sites in terms of mowing the grass and the such, but maybe try to propose how you can better enhance these areas, whether it be through building huts or stuff like that. As we've seen in the past 2 years with all the ARPA money that came in, very minimal was spent on destination enhancement. I know they did the railings at the bird sanctuary, but other than that, I think there has to be much more. There needs to be a bigger focus on the other areas that we can better attract our tourists. Even working with the HPO and seeing and DLNR and maybe providing access for tourists to some of our historical sites, better access to the pictograph or maybe the adventure part of coming to Rota, and that's maybe hiking to the wedding cake or hiking to the grotto and stuff like that. And so if your focus is on attracting tourist attractions, and I think those are some areas that you can also kind of address. And I hope that we can provide some funding, or at least equal to what you got in the revised budget, to take care of some of that. Are you in arrears at this time?
No.
So all your payables have been cleared?
Yes, there's that $12,000 that we have to pull out from the 50,000 or 51,000.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that we have right now. Or we already paid for it already. So we're
Okay.
clear on that one.
All right. That's all I have. I think Senator Mendiola has a follow-up. Recognize.
Sorry, Chair, just one follow-up. I was looking at the proposal, and it looks like you proposed 5,000 for food items. Just kind of interested in that.
Okay, that for food items, That's the, for example, we have like hosting or for any youth program or any activities out there that involves the municipal council. We'll go out and get some like order food or whatever from the restaurants.
Okay, thank you. You for now, Chair.
All right, members, if none. All right, then that concludes the budget hearing with the council. Chairman, thank you for your time today. If there's anything that we've missed, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess to allow, or a 2-minute recess to allow Mr. Ogo to get set up. Short recess. Rise back from recess, and up next we have Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, headed by Resident Director Crispin O. According to the budget submission, there are 2 divisions of Historic Preservation Office. The Sports and Rec Division submitted a budget for personnel at 244,000. Sorry, submitted a budget request of 231,000. The governor had proposed a 241,000 with a difference of about 10,000, and I'm assuming there's some corrections with some personnel adjustments there. Under the Historic Preservation Office, we have a budget submission of 65,000, governor proposal of 67,000. So there's about a little over 1,800 difference there, which could be just an adjustment on the salaries. Some of the major operational expenses include vehicle at 60,000, repair and maintenance at 24,000, travel expenses at 15, fuel and lubrication at 10, and that's for sports and rec. And then for HPO, the biggest expenditure request is for fuel at 8,000. And so at this time, I would like to recognize the RD for his budget presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of this committee. My name is Crispin M. Ogo, Resident Director for DCCA. Let me share to all of the members how about a little bit about the personnel of DCCA, because even in Rota, a lot of people are not aware, because it looks like a big department, but the way our people are being paid, it goes like this, like what you just mentioned, Mr. Chairman. There's basically 23 personnel at DCCA, Rota Municipality. The 6 of the staff are stipend account. 5 of them are federally funded, and that's how the personnel in the island of Rota. So let me share a little bit about the division. After 7 months being in this office, I realized that Four of the division, the operation expenses comes from SIPEN, specifically DYS, CCDF, uh, NAP, Nutrition Assistance Program, Arts Council. So basically, the main operational funds that I'm requesting is for sports and historic preservation. I know it's kind of complicated, and hopefully one day we can figure out how to fix this two different accounts to make it into one. Now, because the four divisions, the funding comes from SIPEN. Yes, I am concerned, but a lot of their operational expenses is basically, I don't really worry. So when you hear the Secretary of Department of Community and Culture Affairs asking for budget for nutrition assistance and all those four that I included, it supplements the island of Rota. So even the FTE, all of them are from our personnel of SIPEN. Under food stamp, locally we have one. At the aging program, we have one. These are local personnel. Sports, we have three. Historic preservation, we have three, and the remaining at the administration. So that's the setup of this department. So it may look big, and we may have a lot of staff, but 11 of them is basically funded out of SIPEN and their operation. So I've been watching the committees, meetings, a lot of the videos I've reviewed, and I want to share the important areas that I feel that even we have a proposal there, but understanding the revenues collected, and I'm open to answer questions, but I'll just share the basic needs that for the past 5 months, I'll be honest, we don't have budget. So we're floating. We're floating that we lean to the mayor, sometimes we lean to the council. And when it comes to federal funds, the only federal fund that we have, which I'm not the expenditure authority, is funding that came from the Department of Interior to put up signages and protect as nevis. So that's a separate federal, that's the only federally fund that comes directly to Rota. And I'm glad that I'm hearing about destination enhancement, I'm hearing about historical sites. I just recently sent you a video, Mr. Chairman. I was going to do a presentation, but the information that I got was the hearing is going to be tomorrow. So I didn't have time to set up, all these, Mr. Chairman, can you share that video that I sent to you via WhatsApp to Senator Menglonia and Senator Mindiola? And when I hear historic preservation, there are 6 sites when I came in that I realized that historic preservation personnel are the ones clearing. So a lot of their time, 2 things that I've seen that they've done throughout my time is cleaning the sites, and these are Madza, Motsung, Pictograph, the Convento over here, even the one next to the roundhouse, 6 of them, and the sports staff cleans the Tanquindo baseball field and the DYS field, the entire area. We have 6 staff that does all of this. So majority of our time is spent in cleaning all these areas. So I on my video, I'm asking this body and the House, which I did present at the House, a clear picture of what DCCA historic preservation and sports that we combine as one group to do all these areas. And not only cleaning and maintaining the sports facilities, historic sites, we also do night games. And I'll be honest, we really need to help the mayor with funding the utility up at the baseball field, because every time we have sports up there, whether grass volleyball or softball, at one time I told my staff, I said, I want you guys to go around and do a survey. I really need to know the occupancy, because if you see the Tanquindo, when there's baseball or softball or volleyball, pack. So they did a count two times as visual and also no count, and over 200 bodies. That's a good number, really, for something to do in Rota. So, if the mayor asks support for the utility up at the Tanquindo, that to me, it helps promote something that's going to happen in Rota, at least through sports. So, I just recently had our staff did an audit on the fuel, because I want to make sure that I have an exact number. So the 6 months that I was there, this is my 8th month, it was 4,000 for 6 months. So you add that. So that is really the bulk of the amount that I want to ask today is the essentials: fuel, our telephone, and I'll give a brief story about our phone issue. We were supposed to be disconnected. And I went to IT&E and I sat down with the people at IT&E and I said, I remember that if we have issues with a residential phone, instead of interrupting, you can put it in, you can make a hold. You say, yes, you can do vacation plan. So right now, we have one phone that I negotiated with Saipan DCCA if they can temporarily assist us until the budget. Because right now, if I shut down the phone, we won't have access. But the other phones that we have is on vacation. They make fun of me. Oh, RD, our phone is on vacation. I said, it's better than paying disconnection fee. So, those are the two major issue that I'm asking, request, at least to keep us for this fiscal year, and also supplies, inks. I was just told the other day to write a letter to Congresswoman Julie to ask for ink. I said, stand by. No, nangganaw sa. Ampus megay ginagagaw. Let's just see where we're at. There's two printer over there. Let's use that. Let's buy time. Another major thing, no, honorable members, over 30 years we've collected bones of our ancestors. I visited the storage and there's 29 boxes. I was supposed to show a picture if really tomorrow is my budget hearing, to show a picture of the boxes being stacked up in a small room over at our main office. And I was told that wherever DCCA relocates, even our ancestral bones relocate. One of my staff said, RD, the furniture is the Manguelo Telecoino. So let me sit down during the next budget hearing for the Senate and ask them that I did this design with DPW, and we estimate that design may probably, and I even wrote to the delegation about 5,000 to make a simple tomb. We don't need something fancy, but somewhere that we can give back no tao food mangoilotas. We cannot continue this. There's many things in the budget that I want to ask. We need 20 footer containers to put all of our supplies. Right now, it's like if you come to the office, I don't want to even share how it looks, but the bottom line is we need places to store our equipment. We have two lawnmowers that needs about $1,300 worth of to run the two riding mower. So right now, it's good that sometimes municipal council mowed the lawn for us, but my boys, to bush cut the entire Tanquindo baseball field, that's hard. We need to get our two riding mowers running. So with no budget, no money, no, I cannot keep on saying to the mayor, no, mayor, we need belt for the riding more. No, Estaloque mayor needs to do her operation. So we're just bush cutting. I'm telling everyone, we just bear and hopefully during our budget hearing, I can I can ask the fiscal affairs that in the bottom of the category it says all other budget. If they can just throw in there so we can combine everything, from 8,000 to the 5,000, probably at 20,000 will help, and let us work on that. So, in regards to personnel, believe me, we need more people at at DCCA, but I cannot express enough. I understand where we're at, but at least consider the Manamco. I'll tell you this: at the Manamco, we're making our staff work during lunch hour. I just recently found out that we're doing flex time, which is great. Now, I plan to calculate the number of flex, how many flex time will it cost in 1 year, and see really if we need an actual staff. So my request when it comes to personnel, I love to have a sports coordinator. I know that I included in the budget, but I know it's not in reality. I hope I get one, but I put their sports coordinator, no HPO, no trainee, HPO clerk, everything. But the most important personnel that I need due to flex time is a cook. We only have one cook. We need one cook, and I heard that in Saipan, no, Director Walter is also asking for a cook. No, I'm very thankful, no, that our staff are patient enough, and every time I check them, they're like, all of us, already all of us are working, even us in the admin. We're working. We're part of the kitchen. Great. But let me ask the Senate if they can give us one cook, and if possibly a cook assistant. I'm planning temporarily to every division. I mean, not every division, but HPO and sports. I'm already telling them, each of you gonna go up there for 1 month and help and I sat down with Val and I said, this is the only solution I have for now. Eloy, you work at the Manamco for 1 month, then Vince turn, then Oscar, then everybody until the whole year. Those are the things that I'm thinking to do because we really need a cook. We really need a kitchen helper. So when it comes to personnel adding up, I hope it can become a reality, but those are the major things that I would like to ask this body. Fuel, communication, personnel for the Manamco, and let's put back our Manguelo, our ancestral bones, and just some supplies for our office. And I'll do the rest. I'll go look. I'm searching all over the place for grants. Questions about TAP? We did apply for TAP. We didn't get approved, but we'll try again. When the window is open, we'll try. No TAP grant at the OIA. So I submitted one earlier this year in March. I'm looking into National Park Service. I saw a grant, that hopefully, in fact, I have communication with the National Park Service director in Guam, Barbara Alberti. I've been communicating with her to see what grants can we do to help the historical site. So the bottom line, DCCA is taking care of historical sites. And for the record, last year we had 484 visitors to the pictographs. So people are coming. And a lot of times when they come and request to visit, we don't keep count with MADs. In order for them to go into pictograph, we have to open the the gate for them. So, no, Chairman, that's those are the important things I have now that with the little budget that we have. So, um, thank you for the time, and hopefully you can look at the bottom there that says all other budget in the and just give us no, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Artie. Just a couple of questions. The employees that are not listed here would be covered under stipend, correct?
Correct.
So like Councilman Lizama,
Correct.
Miss Ogo, is she federal or local?
There are two Ogos in there.
Miss Donna Ogo.
Oh, okay. She's a local.
Okay.
Municipal. Let's say municipal. So sometimes municipal and Saipan. Let's go like that.
But since they kind of service other programs, is there any way they can be partially funded through these grants? Like 50-50, like how some other entities.
I look at Saipan's budget. I also go into DCCA Saipan to look at their budget, and there's a plan to do that 50-50. So it's not yet applicable, but that's the plan. So I haven't met with them, but I somehow, when I dug into Saipan DCCA's budget to look at their budget, I saw for NAP 50%, but Misogo now is 100% local.
Yeah. But
So
if-
there's a proposal for 2024.
if that's
but
so, that could address some of your operational expense because that'll free up some personnel costs that could be transferred down to operations. And so, if you can kind of have that push with your Saipan counterpart to get some of your employees partially funded through the federal grants using their IDC, then you can probably use some of their salaries to address your operational needs.
I understand that, Mr. Chairman, but it's up to Ms. Ogo if she wants to.
Not just Ms.
take
Ogo,
half.
whoever,
Yeah,
whoever else.
because I brought that up to her.
Yeah.
Consider sa no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
this
see
would be
it.
for not not just singling out Ms. Ogo, but for
Right.
any employees that also does work for that grant or assists in some of the work that the grant is intended to fund, and some of them can
And-
be transitioned over. Again, that would free up operational expenses, operational funds.
It's good, Chairman, that you brought that up because there's another staff that, like I said, lucky I look into Saipan's budget and I reviewed it, and I'm like, wow, there's another staff that I just recently saw that there's a proposal for 2024 to give similar to what we're discussing now, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, since that staff is given half budget for Rota, then I can request for their operation over here. So that's my intention to look into that too.
Yeah.
So
And
I've
that
seen
seems
it
to be the
already.
shift,
Yeah.
according to Ms. Vicky from OMB.
Okay, that's great.
They've kind of advised agencies to start looking at how much of their IDC can be used to pay for some of these salaries.
Okay.
Were you aware of the grant at HPO?
Yes.
That's ending, I think, this year. And has Rota received any of those funds?
That's the grant I was sharing to you that we have, but I'm not the expenditure authority on that, and I'm pushing the expenditure authority to let's work on this so I'm okay with that.
Because I think they relinquished Ms. Chong's authority to the secretary, if I'm not mistaken. But again, those are some funds
okay.
that might be able
You're
to.
talking about the bigger grant, the 6 million.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I had a sit down with the secretary on that. Rhoda, the convento next to the San Francisco de Borja Church, no, the secretary is going to come to Rhoda and sit down with the mayor with that. So I'm still waiting for her to come down. But she explained to me that out of the 6 million, Only Rota will no the convento over there next to the church no is going to be renovated, I believe. But clearly, I have no thought that solid. It's just lucky I visited no the secretary and she started telling me because I want to build relationship with the secretary of DCCA, and that's when she told me about, oh, we're gonna fix the convento in Rota. So she's coming down. She was supposed to come today because of the event that we're doing tomorrow, the cultural program that we're kicking off tomorrow. But hopefully she comes because she wants to talk to the mayor no, about it.
Okay, thank you. And just one last one before I pass it on. For the in the revised budget, we gave the mayor 175,000 for the entire municipality. It's unfortunate that maybe this wasn't catered with all RDs, but this was meant to address every agency's needs. And so, you know, if you haven't gotten any, I highly recommend you seek her support to cover address some of your current needs in the remaining 2 months of the fiscal year. But yeah, based on your testimony, it was very difficult for you to get some of these operational funds. But um, you know, she has access to those funds that are meant to address all agencies. And so whatever money she has left, I think that's something that you can also try to tap into in the meantime, to address some of your needs right now, especially when you mention like maintenance and repair. That's something that is addressed now while the money may be there, and that could, you know, at least it'll allow you to use these equipments in the next fiscal year while we seek additional funding. Um,
Thank you for that information, Mr. Chairman.
okay. So at this time, I pass it on to other members, and I recognize Senator Mendiola.
I just got two questions. You mentioned 6 of your staff are stipend funded, or the funds come out of stipend.
Yes.
Is there an agreement between stipend? My understanding, if they fall under stipend funds, so that means that they report to stipend. Is that correct, or is that incorrect?
They report to me if needed. I mean, their timesheet comes to me. I sign it off, then it goes to Saipan. That's the procedure.
So there should be an agreement that gives you that authority over those employees under that fund. Is that correct?
I don't see any agreement because no, they're basically handling their personnel. There's no operational expenses that says no. Rota DYS will get 2 FTE plus 5,000.
Already understand. Thank you. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. Maybe it's something that you can talk to with. I'm sure. I think we spoke about this earlier on. Something that you can address to the secretary and maybe have an agreement so that if there need to be any reprimand or you won't have any issues where now you have to ask the secretary under who's expenditure authority for that fund to make that judgment call. So something that's just alarming. I know we spoke about this earlier, and I just want to make sure that we put it on the record. The other question that I have are the bones that were collected. Have we identified a site for burial, or is there any plans? Have we addressed like the office and the permitting to do so?
The mayor and I sat down, and I recommended as Nevis, a Tagastone quarry, and I visited the BCQ, Mr. Pendergrass, and there's certain papers I need, which is the mayor has done. So we're just waiting for DPL to secure everything. No, I have a timeline, and we're planning to do this by we want to do this by November. However, it seems like it's gonna probably fall to next year, but we really need. I urge this body to to help DCCA put to rest our Manamko.
Agreed. And should we find the budget? And that's why I'm asking this question, because I know that should we find the funding for this, we're going to push it. Let's say we push it to you tomorrow, for example. There's still that permitting aspect. There's still that approval, DPO side. So that's why I'm kind of trying to get to the
Okay.
bottom of whether we've started that process so that we can probably get the total, what's the actual funding needed to
Okay.
do this burial site.
I did all the walkthrough on all of this, from the mayor to Secretary Santos to Mr. Pendergrass, and I don't see any barrier. It's the barriers, the funding. However, no. When I sat with DPL, they said we just need a slight changes to amend the designation, because as Nevis is designated to the municipality, but it's funny because when we read the designation, on the bottom it says designated for boat marina. So that's the only thing that's we need to change the boat marina for uh, to to uh, to complement former Senator Rick's intention of public law 13-31, which designate as Nevis as Rota Cultural Center. So that's why, Mayor and I sat down and say, Mayor, this is already designated by this law. Let's promote this. Let's bring this up. Let's make this alive. The Rota Cultural Center since 2002. So paperwork's, it seems, no, Mr.
In order.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Just please, if you don't mind, just allow the delegation to
Thank
be
you.
a part of this, and something
know.
that not necessarily that we have the funds, but if we should find funds,
Yes,
something that the chairman and the delegation can actually consider. This is the first I'm hearing about this, and to honor our Guelu and Guela, we
Yes,
want to make
thank
sure that
you.
we're a part of this. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Senator Mendiola. Recognize Senator Paul Mangonia.
Thank you. Just a follow-up on were they collected from different projects, different sites, and different era, different times?
Yes, majority of the bones are from Alaguan, way down there in Alaguan. I think we counted 12 boxes from Alaguan. The rest are Guagini from Mr. Rota Hotel, from S&M, from the roads going to District 4, the road going up. But majority of the bones, no, Imemegainya from Alaguan. Then I believe no S&M. Then even here
So,
at
in burying them, we're gonna maintain that distinction that they're from
yes,
Ragwan.
the design that we did with DPW, 5 compartments. Sa Gualukizi, unidentified records were lost, so they cannot. So we put all the unidentified. So the design we have already, Munazan design, 5 compartments, and we will make sure that if future archaeologists wants to study the bones of Alaguan, they just open the Alaguan compartment. They want to study S&M bones from those area. They open. So we're planning to make sure that in the future, whoever needs to study the bones, they can identify which.
So have they done this on Saipan? Similar thing? Not
Okay,
really.
there is an internal policy not adopted by the body of the historic preservation body, but this is just an internal. When you find a bone in Alaguan, you bury it there. When you find a bone there, you bury it there. In Saipan, what they're doing is they find a bone in PIC, you bury them there. So the whole idea here is let's put them and no mark na estigi manggoylo no Alaguan, so we can have access to sit down and no think of our ancestors. So the best
So you're
area
gonna,
is
so we're doing it on Rhoda unique. How much are you talking about for this project? And we're gonna have to move on now, but figure how much we need to do
All right.
this. And I know that again we have Office of Grant Management. This would be a very good project, federal grant project, and I know they will support this. But in the meantime, though, I agree that immediately we should pay respect and bury them. But maybe the long-term project is uh, to get some funding from OGM and have a nice design, and so that you're right, maybe at the cultural center site. So yeah, we would appreciate any breakdown on this proposal.
Thank you, Senator.
Moving on, as far as these divisions that are federally funded or funded by Saipan office, do you get all others subsidy from the divisions?
No, I don't.
You don't receive any help from DYS or food stamp or
None.
Arts Council?
None. Only their staff. So when they need, Saipan will just cut PO for their fuel and is that taking care? No, Saipan takes care of their people here.
No, but do they help in the utilities and in the communications, the
Um,
telephones?
No,
Because they can
I
pick up the
believe
phone, maybe they can pay for your phone, so you don't have to put them on vacation.
I
But
believe NAP is taking care of their rental at no Dolores Plaza. No, this Ford Exhibition except for arts, they have rentals.
also,
Saipan pays their
it would be
rentals.
good to put them together so you can share the phone and other expenses, right? Air condition, power, and all that.
So, like I said, their own rental, so it's up to the secretary to put them together. But DYS is up since in Apollo. DYS Saipan pays for their rental, for their utility, for their fuel. CCDF, no division in Saipan pays for their rental here at Tamara Building. They're all taken care of. No, Arts is the only one that we're taking care. We're housing them at our office now. So the other three divisions from NAP, CCDF, DYS, their division pays for their rental, their utilities. So they have their own operation. I guess the federal funds that they request pays for all those. No, even their staff. So basically, there's another hand in Saipan, in Rota, but they tell me,
So I'm
RD,
saying,
watch
maybe
it.
my idea is just one of those that are being paid by federal. You can get them to work with the secretary to get them a bigger office so that you can ride on their
Oh.
office rental. Ne? So I'm saying like Arts Council. So we should talk to them and get a bigger space and let them pay for it, but put your office in there and you
Thank-
ride on their budget. Ne?
Thank
That's
you, sir.
another way. Ne?
Thank you, Senator, for saying that because recently I just sent a letter to the Secretary of DCCA in regards to Arts Council. I said, I see you have extra money there. Can I help you spend it? A letter went out. So things like that, I'm already communicating with the Secretary, asking for their support. And the good thing about reaching out to our counterpart is Saipan, like I said, they're the one paying our phone now. The other phones, I'm putting them on vacation plan. And I hope, no, I don't need to, but good recommendation by Senator and I. So eventually, at the end of the day, Saipan will pay for all of our, no. So I'm asking this body, make us become independent. Give us money to pay our, our, uh, our phone starting October because right now Saipan is paying DCC's phone. No, lucky they haven't said, RD, di mas RD, no, we're gonna be taking care of you all this time. No, it's just that I built relationship with them and I asked them, can you help us before they cut off our phone? There's more things to discuss. So I asked the basic. I would love to ask more, but I understand where every time I watch chairman with in the Fiscal Affairs Committee, I said, "Ay, Desi chairman, good
Uh,
job, Lo." You know.
Before I forget, the Santa Margarita, those artifacts, do you have them?
No, we don't. And I'm glad we had this forum. And they mentioned that some of the artifacts are in Banco Saipan, so I requested HPO to follow up on that because I want to know where are these no artifacts.
I think we should know that, and it
Yeah,
goes for the Rota Cultural Center. We
that's
can also combine and other artifacts uh, that you have, right? I'm
yes.
sure you have a lot that you could actually display in a museum, right?
Yeah, you know, we wanted actually I was so happy to open one area to put gallery for the historical. So when people come to the office, they can go into the historical gallery. But when I check the budget, the zero. Kana Tanagwagwa historical. I would like to ask that again. If we can give up money to make a historical gallery. We have art gallery, but we
I
don't
know
have
specifically in
historical.
Kunai, we should go to EPI and try
Correct.
to get some funding for that. That's a very good federal
Yes.
grant project that I think he will support immediately, and
Mm.
it will be very easy to get money for those.
I agree with you, Senator Manglonia, and I'm taking extra effort looking for grants. Like I said, um, I've been looking at National Park Service, museums, needs and the operation of this office. I've sat down with Epi, wrote to him. No, now I'm communicating with Mr. Maratita, no, sharing my thoughts. And like I said, I we did apply earlier for grants with TAP, and I plan to do some more. So I'm keeping my eyes going surfing the net looking for funds.
Thank you.
All right, seems like the members don't have anything else. I do have a few questions in closing. You mentioned earlier you had over 400 visitors to the Pictograph.
Yes.
How are these visitors made aware of that's a place that they can go and visit? Are these
Oh,
local visitors? Are
no.
these
Thank you for that question, Chairman. When I look at the sign-up sheet, New Zealand, California, so I
so where do
guess
they go to find out about this is something that they can come and visit? And is it advertised somewhere? Is this through word of mouth
word
possibly?
of
Is
mouth here in Rota that there's or probably because the nicest thing about the pictograph, because I haven't seen any yet, no, online that talks about the pictograph, but recently uh, Deputy Secretary of OIA visited that. So probably when that visit, no, his visit covered by U.S. media, maybe one way that, but currently we don't have any website, and I plan to do that if we have funding to tie in, no, and make our sites and also no what we do no, available out there. But to answer your question, Chairman, no, all I saw on the log sheet is people from New Zealand, different countries, and that's nice to know.
what about your art center? How many visitors do you get there? Is it still open daily, or and
Yes, it's
are
open.
you getting traffic in there?
Not really. That's why I told if we have funding, this is our plan. We want to put in the front of that office. Lucio already designed a very nice billboard that when you're driving, you'll be able to see a sign that says no art gallery pointing there. And even we have ideas of putting feathered no banners on the side of the road and even at the airport. I mean, if you see the one when you land and it says Madza Motsang, that's a $3 sign from the Philippines that I had made just to try. Lucio had a great design to to hang at the airport where when you walk out you'll be able to see it on the post, a very nice information and even along the road. But funding. No, we have
Yeah.
the plans already.
I
It's
understand
set.
that. And so, if these are some of your plans that are, that you are going to propose, and this is something that you can possibly get the buy-in from the members of the Senate or even the House, and we have to kind of focus on what's Rota's competitive advantage between Saipan and Tinian, and we need to, you know, try to promote also our culture and our history. And without having access or knowledge of how to gain access to these sites or to these areas to learn more about the culture and the history, then those sites are just going to be sitting there,
Right.
untouched. And so we want to share that, and we want to use that possibly as a marketing tool to draw in these tourists, because that's really essentially how they're going to get the word out. It's by if somebody comes, they see it, and they share that word, or they share those pictures, and it might entice other people to come and visit for those purposes. And so, and humanities is also such a great partner to have in terms of how to protect and preserve culture and history. If you haven't gone to DFS on Saipan yet, that's an example of a showcase of the history and the language of the Sinamay. It's called the Marianas Experience, and MVA and Humanities help funded that program. But if Rota has something similar that has purely um, artifacts or cultural items or and stuff like that, that could be one area in which we can also open the tourists, and to have easier access to these locations.
So, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I just thought of when you start saying that in the art gallery, there's a section for historical artifacts. So we have arts made by our local people and also artifacts. So we combine in that small art gallery the historical artifacts that we have. So when people walk in there, they're gonna see not just art, but historical no
I understand that,
artifacts
but how do
also.
people know to walk there? Right. If a visitor comes to Rota, how
Right.
would they know to go and see this art center at DCCA building? So it's stuff like that. It's trying to bring awareness to our tourists, and maybe work with CPA to put pictures on the arrival area. Some stuff like that.
That's the plan.
Um,
Thank you.
Yeah, and then again, humanities is a great source of resource to see what grant opportunities they have. I know they give grants to people. To former Representative Leila Staffler was given a grant to study medicinal plants up in the Northern Islands. So maybe Rota can avail some of those grants to kind of research more on things of cultural significance or historic value.
So if I may just add, no, Mr. Chairman, I know that under our personnel, there's we request, and the reason for that because we included their overtime for our historic preservation officers that I wanted them down to Alaguan for a week of no exploration. And with that exploration, they're going to um, not only the historic preservation, we're going to have to pay videographers, sketchers to go down because at Alaguan, I, there's a lot of ancestral no, remains there, the Ladi site. So we want to capture how it looks down there. So when people come to the office, they can just press what's in Alaguan. And one of the staffs like, RD, what if you, instead of at the office, probably at Alaguan Bay Lookout, you make a small no, a room that people can just press and talk about what's down there. So those are things that we want to do. And when you mention humanities, it make me think that may be one of the project that we can apply to bring people down and sketch what we have down there professionally. do a video, show on it, so we can have a clip that when people come to the office, they can view, or like they say at a Lagwan, those are the futures, but I included there in personnel for overtime for our HPO people. So I'm just sharing things that we situation. So
Thank you. Thank you for that. In the interest of time, we'll go ahead close out with just the requests that you've made. Again, the fuel communications funds for a tune, and then some maintenance, and then cook and cook assistant. And so if there's anything else that we've missed, please feel free to reach out to the committee or your Rota delegation to see how we can assist further.
thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Director Ogo. At this time, you're hereby excused, and we'll take labor and then take a short recess and then finish
Mr.
up
Chair.
with DLNR.
I would like to invite the team here tomorrow. We have a 10:30 kickoff ceremony about culture. So whoever is here on island, please visit our office. No, to showcase also Sintadan Gilita. Sintadan Gilita.
Yeah. Thank you for that invitation. At this time, I would like to invite Department of Labor. All right, up next, we have the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor submitted a budget request of 194,428 for personnel. The governor had proposed a budget of 173,152. They currently have 5 FTE on board, and part of their operational expenses includes a vehicle or 2, personnel training costs at 25,000, operational supplies at 18, fuel and furniture at 10,000 each, and technology equipment at 10,000. So those are some of the big ticket requests. And so at this time, I do want to get an explanation of, you are approved for 6 FTEs in the current budget. However, only 5 are being proposed for next fiscal year. And so what happened to that FTE, and what are the additional requests that you've proposed for these FTEs? And so at this time, I would like to hand the floor over to the Resident Director for Department of Labor.
Good afternoon. My name is Christine Cabrera. I'm the resident department head for DOL. To my left is Ms. Marilu Kirigua. She is the administrative officer for our department. Thank you all for being here and taking the time to listen to our concerns. First of all, the FTE that you mentioned, that one, it was never funded. It was always available, but we were never funded for that position. So considering everything that is going on with our, uh, even if I should request to have that position funded, I know that it probably won't go through. However, if it's still on the table, I'm open. I'm open for that position as well. As you have mentioned, we do have needs for the department in terms of vehicles, operational needs of fuel and communication, as well as FTEs. So basically, those are the top three needs of Department of Labor. That's only scratching the surface of what this community truly needs, and which is a lot of workforce training to allow a lot of our members to be employable. With that, I can answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you, RD. Just to get this out of the way, earlier in the beginning of the year, you brought to my concern an FT that was a stipend FT that was being charged under your account. Has that been resolved?
That's correct. That did. However, as for any confirmation, we have yet to receive any.
Do you know if
Um,
that person is being deducted out of your account current still?
I am not clear about that at all.
Okay. If that's something that you can check on, that way those monies can go back to you and you have about a if you don't use it.
Sure.
CW fees, have your office received any?
That's very interesting that you should ask, Senator, because I do understand that NMC and NMTI are recipients of that, the contract worker fee. However, there's a disconnect right now between the Rota community and the educational aspect of NMC and NMTI. We need to have money in order to go to SIPAD, and our community doesn't have that. So here's what I'm proposing. Perhaps if you guys can give DOL a certain percentage so we can provide at least an immediate response to what people need. Training. I know a lot of our people, to include the current workforce, I know a lot of them need computer training to create documents, Excel, spreadsheets, all of that, just the basics. And we don't have that. So if maybe we can receive some of that funding, we can put it to good use in our community here.
Have you reached out to Secretary Staffler or even NMTI to discuss sending down instructors to provide these trainings to our people?
Well, we did speak last year with NMTI. It's just that at that time they are finalizing what resources they have, and they're rebuilding NMTI. So the latest information that I received is that maybe they can provide online educational resources, but they prefer to have a hands-on type of instruction with people. And I don't know if our people have the money to pay their tickets and to rent in Saipan and, to attend those type of courses.
Right. And so, well, that's what I was trying to see if the focus can be to send down people or to hire on a contractual basis someone from here that can provide these trainings such as computer skills or Word, Microsoft Office skills and stuff like that.
Yes, Senator. So I do propose another option to that. Instead of having an instructor on island, how about we buy computers? We open a computer lab. We buy applications that our community members can use. They can learn, I guess, whenever they have the chance to come over to labor and utilize the computers there, they can learn at their own pace instead of having a time frame attached to any type of training instruction.
So we don't have any program at the college that you can coordinate with them?
As of right now, Senator, I do understand that WIA, a program that's a part of Department of Labor, is collaborating with both NMC and NMTI to initiate those type of training. But what I'm proposing is an immediate response to the needs of our community instead of going through all the paperwork of applying for NMC or NMTI or, we have a computer readily available for anybody to come in and do their training. So as important as NMC and NMTI are, we have to meet certain criteria in order to qualify to go to those classes, and we just have a lot of blockages to
So
get
you
there.
have a lot of people looking for employment that comes to your office and they just want to learn how to send an email or type a letter or
Yes,
resume.
speaking from personal experience with PUA, Senator Paul, I had to help a lot of these people open up an email account because they did not know how. So I had to sit down and show them and, teach them what to do next. And at this day and age, opening an email account is one of the most basic um, items in technology, I guess. So it's sad to say, but our community, we're decades behind. We need to catch up.
So basically, you're saying that there's no funding made available from the CW revolving account. You guys do not get any funding from that account? Any assistance?
Pertaining to Rota DOL, none whatsoever, Senator.
I think there has to be that discussion with the Secretary of Labor. She submits a proposal on how these funds will be spent, and then once it gets approved, and then that's when it goes into NMC or NMTI. I think maybe a more open discussion with the Secretary Staffler to include something that would allow either some of the funds to go directly to Rota Labor Office or have a maybe include transportation costs, whether it be are people going to Saipan for these institutes or NMTI or NMC providing instructors to our people under those funds. And so, maybe you can start that discussion, and if it's not something that you're given a hard time on, then we can try to assist from there. I know we've tried to appropriate CW fees in the past, but it's been shut down because of an approved plan set by labor to USCIS.
Yes, Senator. Secretary Staffler, she's a great secretary. She's very open to both Tinian and Rhoda. So I will open up that discussion with her. However, she has been reaching out to us to develop the workforce within the Department of Labor. So I'm very grateful for that. However, I think this is something that we should share with the community. So, speaking of contract workers, 2029 is just right around the corner. And our responsibility is to ensure that our communities are prepared to respond to the lack of contract workers that will be, for lack of a better word, yeah, we're going to be extremely affected. So we need to figure out a way, and we need to start now. Even something as small as a computer lab, just as long as we're able to respond to an accounting position that was left vacated by a contract worker or, for example. So
Do you know how much of our workforce is affected by the touchback?
I don't, but I can tell you that there are 53 in total as of what their immigration status are, whether they're waiting on the USCIS to process their green cards or EAD. Yes.
That are pending or total CWs
Total
under,
of our Rota CW.
whether pending or
Yeah,
active or
that
approved?
part I do not know.
Okay. You have anything? Senator Paul, you have anything? Recognize Senator Paul. You're good. Okay. I think that yeah, we'll
On the training, you don't get any support from federal money from the central? Because I noticed you request for 25,000 for training for the employees, right?
That's correct, Senator Paul. Last year, I was lucky enough to use the ARPA funding to procure training from the Island Training Solution. This one I opened up for the public, both the private and the public sector. And anyone who's unemployed, anybody who wants to get certifications. So that's as far as federal funding that I got. So yeah.
How much does that cost to do that?
So per class, it's $958, and that's at a discounted price because I got 22 trainings in all. So
22?
that amounted to, I believe, 21,500.
Oh, you had the training on Rota?
Yes, sir.
So you pay for the applicants, right?
Basically,
You pay-
yes.
Basically, come to Rota, 21,000, right? And
Yes.
so
So I paid the instructor with the assumption that all 25 seats will be filled up.
oh, and what kind of training is that?
Hotel industry, the restaurant compliance.
For how long? How long?
We began this training, I believe, last year in, was it November? Late last year. As a matter of fact, this week is the last set of training that we're providing to the community. So I do hope that,
No, I mean, when you have that training, is for a couple of days, for 1 week, or?
no, sir, those 22 courses has been spread out throughout the year from
they
late
spread them
last year
out.
to this month.
Oh, and
Yeah.
so that's completed already, that cycle?
As of Friday, tomorrow, all 22 courses will be completed.
Oh, and
Yeah.
and so this money is for next year, for something like that, or?
This time around, it's more to enhance my employees'
Or this
development.
personnel?
Yes. And Senator, I'm dreaming big. I want to send them to the States and all of that. So
And there's no federal money for this?
as far as I know, there's none.
And I see you have the computer here, 10,000. Is that for that?
Yes, sir.
You were discussing earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Paul. So in closing, I think we'll just, I think, work with Department of Labor Saipan to see how providing some of those, whether it be providing some of those funds or additional support to Rota. Next fiscal year, there's an expected resource of 2 million just from CW fees. And so we'll try to get a copy of their expenditure plan and see how we can include Rota support for Rota whether it be direct support, financial support, or through training and training opportunities.
Thank you. I'm sure Secretary Staffler is open to a lot of the ideas from
Yeah.
Rota. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, please feel free to, or please reach out to me or any of the members of the committee if you need additional help in trying to get some of those funds back from that FTE that was being pulled out of your account, because again, that could go into your operations once they redeposit that money back,
Okay.
at least
Thank
for the
you.
rest of the fiscal year. If there's anything else that we missed that wasn't discussed, and you feel you need to share with the committee, please feel free to reach out to any of the members, and then we'll try to address that when that, if anything comes through.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to add in closing?
I'm trying not to make my AO speak because she has a lot to say, but let me just ask her. Do you have anything? Oh, you guys are lucky today. She's good. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. At this time, you're hereby excused. We'll take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll have Department of Land and Natural Resources up next. Now, I'll leave this up to those that are currently here today. We have, I know I mentioned finance will be tomorrow, but we have commerce. Would you like to go today or tomorrow? I know we have DPW and DPS here. We can go as far as we can with everyone wanting to go today, including DPW. After DLNR, we'll go to DPS, and then DPW. If you want to go past 4:30 or 5, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, we can continue on tomorrow with you guys. But if you're ready and you're willing to get it over with today, you can still stay. Otherwise, you can. I don't want to waste any of your time if you are not planning to go today. Okay. Sure, we can do it tomorrow. So we'll do DLNR and DPS, and then Department of Commerce, and then we'll end out today and then continue on tomorrow. So we'll take a 5-minute recess.